This could be a steal for the Edmonton Oilers as they made their draft selections earlier today in Los Angeles. We will break down every single pick the Oilers made today. It's not like there's a lot, there were five, but we will sort of analyze every single pick that the Oilers will add to their prospect pool. All that more today on Oilers Digest. But first, 86% of you have not yet subscribed to the channel. I mean, if there's any time to do so, folks, make sure you hit that button down below. The draft is past us, but we still have free agent frenzy on July 1st, so make sure you stay here with the channel for all of that. But without further ado, folks, we're feeling a draft in the air. I mean, it's hot outside, but in Los Angeles today, we were feeling a draft as the Oilers, didn't have a pick at all last night. They didn't even have a pick in the second round earlier today. They didn't have a pick until round number 3 as the Oilers went into the draft holding the 83rd, 117th, 191st in 223rd selections on day 2 of the NHL Draft, but they added on with a 5th rounder as they acquired that from the Nashville Predators in exchange for next year's 2026 5th round pick there. And after the second round, the NHL draft success rate starts to dwindle there. So the Oilers, just stocking the cupboards with prospects there. Nothing bona fide when it comes to, certified NHLers in the prospect pool. But you never know. 5 selections, 1 in 5 might become an NHLer. You got to hit those diamonds in the rough there. And let's get right into it with their round 3 selection. Yes, the Oilers made their first selection in round number 3, and they made a bit of a splash there, one that confused many draft analysts around the NHL as they selected from the Kamloops Blazers of the Western Hockey League a right winger, Tommy Lafreniere. There you can see, boy, 2007, that makes you feel old, but round 3, 83rd overall there. His first full season with the Kamloops Blazers, there 56 points, 24 goals, and 32 assists there. Now, based on pre-draft rankings, this pick looks like a bit of a reach for the Oilers at 83rd overall, but Lafreniere is described as a high-floor, low-ceiling prospect praised by scouts for his hockey sense in responsible game. You can see there, he's all over the place. Elite prospects had him at 124. McKean's had him at, 76, and, Dobber prospects at 71 there. So when it comes to Tom Lafreniere, very polarizing, but he's a quick-witted two-way forward who uses his intelligence to be a pesky play disruptor. A smart player with strong timing, he stays on top of the play, surveying and jumping on vulnerable pucks while not always physical on the puck. Lafreniere is adept at using deception to surprise carriers and strip pucks off of them. He finished 4th on Kamloops in scoring in his first year there, though his minus 33 was second lowest on the team. However, this was a weaker team and everyone on the roster was well into the negative there. And, Tom Lafreniere was asked about, the way he, described his game and just trying to get better on his own there, from many of the draft analysts. He's a player, the hard work is there, but the skill has yet to grow there. But still, for a 3rd round prospect, you can't expect all the tools to be there right off the bat, because that would just mean he'd go up in the first 2 rounds there. But he said, in the season, I focused a lot on my skating, trying to get faster and stronger. I think that's really helped me take a step forward. Getting called up last year also helped, just getting those extra games in and adjusting to the league. I love watching Nathan MacKinnon, though I wouldn't say I model my game after him. I think I play more like Nick Suzuki or Braden Point, guys with strong hockey IQ in playmaking ability there. So gotta love to see, Tommy Lafreniere sort of be, be a little bit honest. Nathan MacKinnon, bit of a bigger boy, but Nick Suzuki or Braden Point, some of those, smaller forwards that have seemed to carve their own way into the National Hockey League. And that was their 3rd round selection. Now let's go into round number 4, the next round there. The Oilers had to wait a bit to make their next selection, but their next selection was also from the Western Hockey League there. A German boy, yeah, I'm sure Leon Draisaitl will be very, very happy there. David Lewandowski there of the Saskatoon Blades, 39 points in 52 games there. 4th round, 117th overall there. Not a whole lot on Lewandowski, but Stephen Ellis from Daily Faceoff there says, good pick at this point there for the Oilers. Lewandowski was excellent at the World Juniors, and I thought he was good at the U18s to close out the year, albeit I was hoping for a bit more offense, but his off-puck play was great. At least he's good around the net, using his muscle to outwork players and get into scoring lanes. The Saskatoon Blades forward feels like a future breakout candidate, someone who has the raw talent but just needs to put it to use every single night there. And again, with some of these, later round prospects, you just sort of hope for them to, hit a boom and, moving from junior to the AHL and eventually, hopefully, to the NHL. You just want to, see them take those baby steps to developing into a proper player there. Now we go into round number 5, the round that the Oilers traded up into from the Nashville Predators there, and selecting from the U.S. National Development Team a defenseman, Asher Barnett there from Illinois. Defenseman there, a bit of a rugged shutdown defenseman, so you can't, not necessarily look at the points there and go, oh, he's a waste of a player. But, defensemen, you got to look at them differently. Same with goalies there compared to forwards. I mean, with forwards, points are everything, but with, defensemen and goalies, a lot of different intangibles there. But 6'1", 198 there, so he'll probably get into, a bigger frame there. But, with Asher Barnett bringing a little bit of everything defensively, Barnett wins his minutes with transition passing, physicality in defensive details. He punishes net front attackers with cross checks and then detaches to intercept the puck here behind the net for a stop. He wins inside position, proactively engages opponents, and tips away passes. All key traits for strong all-puck defenders moving forward there, and that seems like the Oilers, need it desperately. You can see many times during the season, they just wouldn't clear the front of the net in front of either Stuart Skinner or Calvin Picker there, so they need, that mean guy in front of the net there, clearing out the traffic in front. And now we move into round number 6, the penultimate round of the NHL draft. Again, not a whole lot on these prospects there, but just sort of giving you a sense of what they could be like. I mean, going from junior or, college, university into the AHL or NHL, I mean, many players, they changed the way they play. A guy like Guy Carbonneau, he was, a point scorer in junior, and then he evolved into the shutdown player with the Montreal Canadiens and Dallas Stars there, so players could always change there. But I'm liking what the Oilers have brought to the table so far there, with lots of scouting and lots of hope for this prospect pool. I mean, it's very, very low there, but the only way to restock it is, with the entry draft, or the biggest way to restock it is with the entry draft. But in round number 6, like they seem to do every single year, they draft a goalie, Daniel Salonen from Finland there in the 6th round, 6'3", 185 there. And, I mean, this is very impressive. In the Finnish Junior League there, won league MVP and best goalie there, went 23-1 in the regular season with a 155, 933, and led Lukko, the under-20 team of Lukko in Finland, to the league championship by also putting up a 911 and a 2.02 in the playoffs, with going 9-2 there. Again, not a whole lot of scouting reports on Daniel Salonen, but hey, he catches with his right hand. I mean, you don't see those too often there with him. But we get into the last round here, round number 7 for the Oilers. They held the second last pick in. They chose a hometown kid in LA. I should preface the draft was in LA, and they took a kid from California. There is, one that you certainly wasn't expecting the Oilers to take, as they take center Aiden Park there from California, shoots right there. And he spent the last 3 seasons with the Green Bay Gamblers of the USHL before playing 3 games with the Calgary Hitmen there. And again, the 7th round, you're pretty much taking a shot in the dark there. I gotta respect that the kid was waiting all afternoon there, pulls up in a hoodie, in shorts there, when all the other prospects probably roll up in a suit there. But I gotta respect it there. But with his scouting report from Stephen Ellis of Daily Faceoff, many scouts thought Park was going to get drafted a year ago, but was passed over. He left the famed Shattuck St. Mary's program in Minnesota to play full-time in the USHL, and he showed how competitive he could be. He had 33 goals and 66 points in 55 regular season games with Green Bay before finishing the season with a 3-game playoff stint with the WHL's Calgary Hitmen. Park has a decent frame, but he's not strong, and he can be prone to turning the puck over if he isn't able to beat opponents with pure speed. His biggest, thing about his game is, of course, being that one-on-one type player. The University of Michigan commit will likely get taken in the latter half of the draft, as he was taken, but he's still a bit away from being a legit prospect. I mean, 7th round, but I mean, the guy, he went to Shattuck St. Mary's in Minnesota, and he's a University of Michigan commit. I mean, those two things you can't shrug about whatsoever there. So with the Oilers, of course, 5 picks, all from rounds 3 to 7 there, so you can't write, the Oilers, hit it out of the park with this draft, because if you said that, you'd pretty much be a time traveler. But at this point, it's sort of a wait-and-see game with the Oilers there, as, the score gave the Oilers a D rating there, or D grade for the draft there, with Lafreniere, Lewandowski, Barnett, Salonen in Aiden Park there. But the Athletic was a little bit more generous. They're giving the Oilers a C. Edmonton didn't have a selection until the 83rd spot, so it's understandable this isn't an overly impressive draft class. The Oilers picks of Lafreniere, Lewandowski, and Barnett are all fine prospects. I don't think any of them are realistic NHL players, though, even if I do have some time for where they got Lewandowski there. So that wraps up the draft analysis for the Oilers. Let me know down in the comments what you think about any of the picks. I'm not going to pretend and sit here like, I'm a draft expert whatsoever. I'll watch the World Juniors and, some junior games if they're on, but I can't, again, say I know every single thing about these prospects. But that's the beauty about the draft. You learn about these players as it goes along there. So again, let me know down in the comments. And if you haven't already, folks, make sure you subscribe here to the channel there. Stan Bowman seems to, make things very interesting heading into July 1st there. So enjoy the rest of your weekend, folks. Take care. I'm Matt.